I've known since I always say since I came out my mother's womb. I've always been different, I've always felt different, and for as long as I know, I've known that I've been queer. I came out to my friends, to some friends when I was in grade 11, so that's about 17 years old. And to my parents, I came out in the end of my first year, so at the age of like 20, 21. The biggest part for me was the whole religion part, the religion aspect, because of how religious my family is, are, whatever. So that was for me the biggest thing, because you don't want to disappoint anyone, and you don't want them to feel like they've raised an abomination or they've made a mistake with you, because that's not what it is. So I came out, like I said, to my parents. I think that's the biggest part of coming out, is to your family. And for me, it was around the end of my first year. I had just fallen in love for the first time with a guy, and we had called things quits, and I was going through a lot of emotions with regards to calling it quits with him, and I couldn't deal with all the emotions that I was feeling at that time. I felt very overwhelmed, I felt scared, I felt alone, I felt like I was just being rejected completely from the world. And I started deciding that I need to find the happiness and the contentment of myself and being who I am. And that's when I decided to tell my mom. And we went for lunch, and when we got there, I told her I need to tell her something. And she said she knows what I want to tell her. So we were sitting there, and the words just couldn't come out of my mouth to tell her that I'm gay. And eventually she was like, she knows what I want to say, but she needs me to tell her what I am and who I am. And I told her, and the best thing was she completely accepted it. She's known her whole life, and she was happy for me. The only reason she wasn't happy was for all the stuff that I went through in high school and in primary school, which I never ever told her. I always kept all of the things that happened to me in growing up, going through school, to myself. I would manage the pain by myself. I would suppress a lot of the pain, a lot of the ugly things people said to me, did to me. And that was the only form of unhappiness that my mother had with the whole situation. And about, let's say, a few months later, I told my dad. And my dad was the big one for me, because I knew it would be a little bit more tough to tell my dad. And we got together, my mom was with me, and I told him, and he started crying. And my dad has never cried in front of me with stuff like that at all. And It was the first time that I saw in my dad's eyes a look of disappointment. Not that he said he was disappointed and I could be wrong, but I felt like I had disappointed him, because that's in his way of life and in his religion and my religion, it's frowned upon to be like that. And I told him, and he's never really addressed it since. So to me it felt like at least I had it off my shoulders. It felt like a whole mountain that was just lifted off of my shoulders. I could breathe more properly. I could finally start dealing with my emotions that were building up within myself. And I at least knew that he knew. But for me, he was the biggest. He was only them two. My mom and my dad were the only people that I really cared about knowing my story. And if the other people knew, didn't like, it's fine. So I think for those old queens, those old gay guys, that have been in relationships with females and married and gotten kids, they've gone through a lot because they're living a double life for themselves. And I think that's why those cases are so hard, because even the wives, like, they must go through the most as well. The complete most. That's why everyone just needs to be loving and caring and just be accepted, because then none of this would even happen. Everyone will just be able to be their authentic selves. And I think that's what one wants.